I was about to say, because when I was standing up there, it was like, and I was really just swaying back and forth.
Okay, I don't have the tracking on. Oh, it's because. That's why.
I'm just gonna put it around it.
Well, if it still tracks you, that don't make any sense. Let me see. Tracking off now. Okay, so. Are you going to be right here?
Yeah.
Are y'all stapling each document in
The chair is in here, but beyond the chair much, you won't be able to see. So just stay on this board right here
Okay.
when you're doing whatever.
And I put them in order.
And then once you start walking around, you might want to get that circle done.
This part right here?
Yes.
Okay. And then I press the red button to
No,
record.
it's already recorded.
Oh, it's already
I just
recorded?
went ahead and started.
Okay.
I'll do my time sheet later. Uncle.
This is to move to the right slide, right?
Yeah,
To
just
keep
hold on one
forward.
second after I get her in there. There you go. Hold on. All right, try on. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so stapler's here, and we'll talk about the stuff again in just a minute, okay? All right, cool.
All right, so my chapter is.
started the recording.
Yeah. My chapter is chapter 17, grades K through 2, and the title of the chapter is Helping Children Use Data. So my table of contents, my slides are gonna be on what is data, how to use data, which is statistics, strategies for data usage, and my favorite strategy. So what is data? My definition is data is a common usage or a collective, discrete, or continuous values that convey information, describing the quantity, quality, facts, statistics, other basic units of meaning, or simple sequences of symbols that may be further interpreted formally. So why is data important? Data is important because it helps with informed decision-making skills, so that can be things like choosing what to eat, shopping, or monitoring health, or it can help one identify problems, and it can help improve operations like monitoring progress. How to do statistics. Develop statistical questions using interesting and relevant questions for the students to explore. Engage students in generating questions that can be answered using statistics. Consider what data will answer questions. Include questions that generate numerical data, and include data that can be gathered within a classroom or school. Gather and organize data. Outline a plan for collecting the data, choose the best way to record the data, and decide who will ask the questions or what sources will be used for gathering the data. Then I have choose a data analysis plan. Decide which representation will best tell the story related to your questions, prepare data displays, select ways to interpret the data, and carry the analysis plan out. Then interpret the findings. Explore questions such as what does our data tell us about our class? And what does it not tell us? What might we infer? What new questions might we have? And look for factual information as well as inferences that go beyond the data. Okay, my key strategies that I picked from this chapter is A, collecting data, B, data analysis, graphical representations, and C, formulating questions. So moving on to A, which is collecting data, I have a whole paragraph on it. So gathering data for children will not be easy to them. How to collect good data is an important part of discussion as children learn statistics. So children may start to collect data by counting objects or by hand raising, then move to using a ballot or survey with a limited number of response options, and finally using a ballot or survey with an unlimited number of response options. Data in all can be collected through observation. This creates a shared context for children and that they will all be a part of observing phenomena. You can use existing data resources to help conduct instruction such as printed resources, which is like newspapers, sport record books, and maps. Or you can use web resources like Google Earth records or movie database. So what are the types of data? There are two main types of data, categorical and numerical. Categorical data is data that is grouped by labels such as favorites, things, after school activities, colors, and cars in a school parking lot. It could be put in any arrangement. Numerical data, on the other hand, is like counting things or measuring on a continuous scale, like a number line. For part B, data analysis, graphical representation, children should be involved in deciding how they want to represent their data. However, for children with little experience, the various methods or picturing data, you will need to introduce options. So graph the data using the options and facilitate a discussion with the class to decide which method might be the best and why. Creating graphs require care and precision, including determining appropriate scale and labels so that the audience is able to see at a glance the summary of the data gathered for a particular question. Once the children have made the graph, the most important activity is discussing the meaning of various parts of representation and what it tells people who see it. So often young children have trouble distinguishing between the data and the larger event from which the data was collected. They might think of trigger or pointers to the event, not as specific information about the event. Example, instead of recognizing that more children in a class have 2 pockets than 5 pockets, they may describe how they can put their lunch money in a front pocket, or they have counted the pockets by 2s. And then I have a video so I can see how we teach graphs.
Explain yourself. You said we should make trying the new Boost Mobile risky. No, risk-free. Oh, then we shouldn't use snakes at all.
As an elementary teacher, one standard that you are responsible for teaching is graphs and data representation. One of the most commonly used graphs in elementary grades is the bar graph, which is a visual representation of data using...
I'm just going to play like 2 minutes of it because it's 7.
In this video, we're going to explore the parts of a bar graph and some fun activities that you can incorporate into your teaching. So if you're ready, give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in and get started. First, let's touch base on what bar graphs are. So bar graphs are a way to show data that has been collected by using rectangular bars. Before teaching your students how to create a graph, it's important to understand the parts of a bar graph and what they mean. I always use an anchor chart to teach the key parts of a bar graph, and we review and discuss these different vocabulary words. So first we talk about is the title. This is a brief description of the data that's being represented on the graph. The title should be short, clear, and to the point. Then we have the scale. The scale on a bar graph shows a set of numbers to help measure data and shows the way that numbers are used when we are representing different types of data. And so depending on the grade level that is being taught, a scale can have different number patterns, such as counting by 1s, 2s, 5s, or even 10s. And then we also discuss the labels. The labels go along the axis of the graph to show what is being measured. The rectangular bars are shown above each label to represent the value of that category on the graph. These are typically color-coded and or shaded differently for easy differentiation. And so as our students understand the parts of a bar graph, next we need to show them how to collect data and actually create a graph. To model this, I like to use blank anchor chart paper and sticky notes to create a bar graph. In my guided math units, they create a different whole group graph like this each day. You could, if you wanted, to laminate a blank anchor chart paper so that it can be used over and over again and you can use a dry erase marker. Or you could easily create a new graph each time on a different piece of paper. What you're going to do is model the steps for creating a graph and asking questions such as where should the title go, where should the label go, and so forth. You could even place items in the wrong place and have your students correct them. So in this example, students are going to create a class graph based on which sport they would rather play. What you're going to do is give each student a sticky note and allow them to come up and place their sticky note onto the anchor chart paper above the label of their choosing. You can see in the photo example that the sticky notes create large rectangular bars on the graph to show the data. Then what I like to do is I use a set of question stems. These are pretty generic and I like to keep them on hand. And then I use these question stems to ask them different questions about the data that is represented on their graph. So when teaching bar graphs to your students, here are a few things that I want you to keep in mind. First is use real life examples. Think of things that are relatable to your students, such as what are their favorite foods, their favorite toys, or animals. What is something that would interest them? And so in this example, our students played drop and graph with emojis because what kid doesn't love emojis, right?
All right, I'm gonna cut it short because I don't want to play the whole 7 minutes. But that gives you an overall idea of how you can gather the stuff to do graphs with your students. And I chose bar graph because that is one of my favorite strategies, so I'm going to be using graphing as one of my favorite strategies for this chapter. So we're going to move on to formulating questions, which is part C, and that's another strategy out of the chapter. So statistics is more than making graphs and analyzing data. It includes both asking and answering questions about our world. Data collecting then had a purpose to answer questions. Even young children should have opportunities to generate their own questions. Decide on appropriate data to help answer these questions and determine methods of collecting data. Whether the question is teacher-initiated or student-initiated, children should engage in conversations about how well-defined the question is. For example, I can't see that. The teacher asks, how many brothers and sisters do you have? There may be a need to discuss half-siblings. If a question arising about how many shoes each classmate owns, questions may arise to whether they should count bedroom slippers or flip-flops. It's all about who you formulate your questions for. So ways you could formulate questions. I have 2 different ways, which are self and classmates or beyond self and classmates. So for self and classmates, young children want to learn about each other, their families and pets, their likes, dislikes, and so on. So at the pre-K 2 level, the easiest questions to deal with are those to be answered by each class member contributing 1 piece of data. Here are a few ideas: favorites, numbers, measures. So for example, you can ask about a child's favorite book and form a question around that. Which types of books should the school library buy? Beyond self and classmates examples. Do other 2nd grade children spend the same amount of time watching TV as you? That can be another example of that. And then that's all I have for my PowerPoint slides. Okay.
Do you have an activity for me?
Yes, I have 2 activities for us to do. So the first one is gonna call for us to do group work. So it's as long as your name. So you're basically gonna go around the classroom to each other and do a graph on how long each other's name is. You're gonna use tally marks to fill in the graphs. Yeah. So the idea is to just do it all together and see how many names we can get on the paper.
Rachel, how many lessons do you have?
Mine had 16. I thought you said we're doing groups. We're not doing groups?
No, you can go around and ask everybody.
Oh, okay.
I can, it says Tally right in my face.
Amani, how many letters are in your name?
How many letters are in my name? 5.
Rain, your name is just spelled like rain, it's not special, not.
Dang.
4.
It's just regular, okay.
R-A-I-N.
Are we doing how many?
It's 8.
Thank you.
You said 8 such as?
Yeah.
At least?
5.
Did you want one, Dr.
Ashley,
Wilson?
about to.
No, I'm not gonna do it, but I did send in my name.
Ashley, about to.
Are we doing her name?
Yeah.
I did. She in here.
Oh, I'm not, because I didn't mess up.
I'm trying to think of a name you can make. Only Bo. Bo. But people like to get fancy when they spell Bo. I've never heard that name.
What?
I mean, like, look, his name Bo. It's dumb. It's what it is. I know little boy, his name is Bo. See? Yeah. See, I told you, it's always something.
Heard it quite a bit.
That boy name is B.O. Bo.
It's a white people name. A
That's
little
right.
country white people.
That's it, it's like Bo.
All right, y'all, and whenever y'all are done with that, I do have another paper for us to do.
I did it the way you did. Dr. Henson on there.
How many do we have right here? 2, 4, 6, 7.
Oh, God.
Did I miss T?
No.
Ooh, I missed the letter. Okay, well, we have.
Oh, I
We
jacked
have like
that up.
equal amount
I
of
jacked
people with
that up
5
bad.
and 6 letter names.
And 4 and 7 and 8.
And 4, 7, and 8. What you mean 4? I was talking about one person. Oh, no.
I'm just gonna hand these out because it's another thing.
Not Go React, Task Stream. Task 3 is a task stream.
Task 1, 2, and 3. You'll get practice for each one of them.
So, including 1, 2, even if,
Even Barnett really has things?
but it's because with Barnett's, we didn't do the lesson plan.
Did you do the 3 lesson plans for literacy?
Yes.
But
Did that-
he said either social studies, yeah, he said either social studies based with literacy added on or literacy with social studies added on. So it's gonna
I was
look,
about to say,
they just don't
yours and Ruben's line up, his like somewhat lines up, but not really.
How do you understand this one? We're struggling.
So whatever you had to do for social studies was for his class.
Yeah.
You had to do literacy in order to combine hers,
They were,
right?
they were literally based.
No.
Mine
There's no such thing as literacy based. It's literacy. You have comprehension or composing text.
Yes,
And-
that's what we did. But
Right,
it was
and so we don't care what dogs or cats or science or math or English or whatever else you brought into it, as long as it was a literacy standard, and that's what your focus was. In your 3 lessons, and you built on it, you made 3 lesson plans and you built on it, that's task 1.
Okay. He was, okay,
think
so
mine-
he gave us an option to do either a literacy standard or a social studies standard.